up. We'll bring out the countdown timer. And we're live. I'm going to move us over so we can see each other a little bit better. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Breakfast with Disaster. We're live every Tuesday at 10 a.m., telling you all the worst things that can happen so you know how to avoid them. My name is Dan Bauer with ServPro, and I know about the worst things that can happen because we kind of deal with them every single day. And we've got a very special guest here today, who you guys may or may not know. I hope you do because she's awesome. Marcia Brogan. How's it going this morning, Marcia?
Oh, it's going great. Had a great holiday weekend. It was probably one of the best Memorial weekends I can remember.
Oh, yeah?
Even today, it's hard to get into the office and do some work, but it's a beautiful day.
Yeah, it's a little tough. I'm feeling a little crispy myself. I was out in the sun a little bit too much, but we're going to make it through. Marcia is, well, she's a lot of things. She's an independent insurance agent. She is the head of the Marcia C. Brogan Agency, which is affiliated with Niagara National. That's a WBE certified business, so if that's something that's important, I know you had mentioned, Marcia, that might be important to some of the viewers here who may need a WBE certified business to work with. So
that's correct.
Write her name down. You never know when that's going to come in handy. She's been all over the place. She's a leader, a business leader, a very nice person. She's been past president of the Kenmore Business Association, past president of the Buffalo Niagara chapter of the National Association of Women Business Owners, and a past president of the Independent Insurance Agents Association of Western New York. I really thought I was going to stumble. I cannot believe I said that all correctly. Was it all correct? Is that anything else you want to shout out?
Did a great job. Yep.
Well, you obviously keep very busy, and one of the reasons that we're chatting today is because you somehow find time to keep track of all these crazy insurance markets that are kind of going up and down right now. Specifically, insurance premiums, right? Those are kind of shooting up for people.
Absolutely.
What's going on there?
Well, people are really concerned because rates are going up. But if you look across the market, across the board and everything, all rates are going up. Groceries are going up. And we all know gas is going up. Construction costs are going up. So when you go to calculate the insurance rates, you have to take all that into account. So, if you have a claim, you have to look at the building materials. I recently had a client that had a house fire, kitchen fire. Her husband was roasting nuts in the oven under baking it, and instead he put it in the broiler, and a flame ensued and destroyed the whole kitchen. So, now it takes time for them to get the parts in. The parts are more expensive. Labor is more expensive. So if you add all that up, that goes into how they calculate what the cost of the premiums are going to be, so that when you have a claim, you're made whole. So that's key.
So I don't think people really, I certainly didn't until I got into this business, didn't realize that there's a formula that goes into calculating what those premiums are. And what factors into that? It's just kind of everything, right? The cost of making something.
They look at the claims ratio, and then of course they look at it, and especially the last year or so, you've seen your rates go up, and it's across the board. It's not just one particular company, it's all companies, because they have claims. It's the nature of the business. They need to make you whole should you have it's not necessarily should, but when you have a claim. Mm-hmm. And they have to look at what goes into making you whole. What do they entail? Like, what kind of products are you going to be using? What kind of laborers are you going to be using? Where's the products coming from? How long will it take? If you're in a home and it's going to take longer, then there's your living expense that's going to increase because you're going to be staying at a hotel longer. So it's all those types of things that slowly build into the premiums, as you see in your food, as you see in your gas. And if you go to, you go to one of the Home Depot or Lowe's, a couple of years ago, a piece of an 8x10 was a few dollars. Now it's like 10. So the prices are like doubling and tripling, and so will the insurance prices. Companies are really looking at ways to keep premiums down. So there's lots of discounts, but you really have to understand the reason why. And it's very difficult when you're explaining to a client, because they're feeling it across the board in every aspect. So it's very challenging.
Yeah, and I know, I don't think a lot of people realize that an insurance premium isn't just an arbitrary number. It's not like somebody's just saying, like, I think I can get this amount of money for insurance. It's really a measure of the risk in a system, the cost of doing business in a system. Would that be fair to say?
Right. And also, like people say, well, I'm only going to pay X number of dollars. Well, that X number of dollars doesn't necessarily mean it's going to make you whole. It'll give you a portion of it. And then when the claim occurs, you're upset because, well, why didn't I have this all covered?
Hmm.
So when you go to figure out the cost of like the replacement cost of a home is not the market value. The replacement cost of a home is how the cost of all the products, the like I said, the laborers, it's the materials. If you have specialized, windows or trim or something like that, a specialized kitchen, that all goes into the cost of replacing it, not the market value. Although market value is really scooting up there really quickly, but it's not the same as a replacement cost.
Sure. So, I mean, so we've kind of established, like everything else, insurance premiums are getting more expensive, kind of because everything else is getting more expensive to a degree. And you kind of alluded to this just now. What are people supposed to do about this? Because I imagine a lot of people will be chasing lower rates, and maybe that's not such a great idea.
Well, they can look at the coverages. They can really investigate to see what coverages they really need. They can look at their deductibles. They can look at if there's any kind of credits, deadbolt locks, if they have a security system, make sure that they get those credits. If they package their auto with their home, there's a discount there. So there are a variety of discounts out. The educated consumer needs to talk with their agent to make sure that they understand what it is that they have and what they can do. And also, you want to make sure that the company you're dealing with is A-rated and is there in the event of a claim and they have a good reputation.
Sure. Where do you see people? Where maybe this is a better question. Where should they not compromise? Say people are really trying to find that lower price. Where's an area like for me it would be water backup coverage just because we see it all the time. People may or may not want that endorsement. What other places do people use? Like you can't compromise here. You need to get this coverage even if it's a little bit more expensive.
Well, I wouldn't say water backup. If you have a basement, I would definitely have the water backup
Hmm.
coverage. You know
Yeah,
yourself how those rates just to get something cleaned in the basement, the mold and all that other issues you have to deal with adds up really quickly. So water backup, I think, is important. They can look at deductibles. Some companies have identity theft. Maybe you don't want the identity theft. If you have identity theft somewhere else, look at the replacement costs. Sometimes some companies will want it to be 100%. Some will say maybe 90%. But I always like to leave a buffer because when people remodel their homes, they don't necessarily call their agent and say, "Hey, I just put on a patio, or I just put and closed my sunroom. Now it's an all year room." So if in the event of a loss, that wasn't calculated. So you always want to leave a little bit of space for those home improvements that you don't tell your agent about, because most clients, they don't call and report things to the agent. The agent calls them and say, "Hey, what's going on?" And that's how they find out what's
sure.
happening.
Yeah, that has never occurred to me. Um, if my agent is watching, which I think she might be, I did put on a deck, and I'm sorry I didn't tell you.
I
Um,
had I had one client that he actually put on a whole edition, and I called to check, and he goes, "Oh, during COVID, I had nothing to do, so I put on an edition." I'm like, "Whoa!"
changes things.
It sure does.
Well, I mean, people, especially with insurance, it doesn't sometimes seem real. Connected to the real world as it really is, at least until you put in a claim. It's
Right.
just something, a cost you have to pay. People don't realize that those things affect things.
Well, it's an intangible, and
Hmm.
you're paying for a promise. But once you use that promise, you understand the necessity of it, and you're never late on your payments again.
Sure.
Because having a claim is an emotionally draining situation.
Hmm.
And as an agent, and all the agents out there can attest to that. When your client calls you, they are really very distraught. Another thing I tell my clients to do is make sure you know everything that's in your house, videotape. Everybody's got the camera. Walk around with your camera,
Hmm.
videotape the rooms, and talk about what's happening in it. Especially like in the basement, if there's water coming in, you got to rip everything out. And now people have to think, what did I have down there? But if they take a video and they talk about it, it gives it to the adjuster, and it can really help move the claim along and get it taken care of so that they can get back into their home.
Sure. Very important. That's one of the big things we do when we do emergency planning is pre-loss photos, pre-loss video, things like that. Especially if people have things of real value that they're storing down there. Um, you never know what's going to happen.
That's right. That's
So
right.
I'm going to try to sum this up, and then
Okay.
feel free to correct me if I screw it up. But insurance premiums are going up. There's not really much anyone can do about that. That's a reflection of the world that we live in.
Correct.
If you haven't been hit with that, you can kind of expect to in the future, just because of everything from supply chain issues to labor shortages to everything else that's affecting, just making our world more expensive right now. Insurance is going to reflect that. That does not mean that you should start cutting your coverage necessarily or chasing the lowest price available on the market. But you should, there are things you can do. Talk to your agent, review what you're covered for, what's already included in the premium that you're paying, and kind of customize things to your needs so that you are protected when something happens. But maybe that will take a little bit of the pain away. Is that accurate?
That's correct. I think you did a great job summing it up.
Well, thank you very much.
And when you get that bill, take a breath, relax, and just know that it's going to be not the same as it was last year.
Yeah, I think that's kind of good advice. Anything happens, take a breath, relax. It's going to be okay.
Right.
Well,
All
now
right.
we are going to do the fun part here. I've just got to bring up my prize wheel. It's time to draw the prize. Now, Marcia, I don't know if you've seen the show before. Do you know how this part works?
I do, but refresh my memory.
So I'm going to bring up a prize wheel here, which you won't see on the Zoom, but you'll be able to see
Let me see if I
on the
can get
live
that one.
stream.
Breakfast with Disaster.
Oh, there I am.
Tuesday at 10.
I will graciously cover my own face. I'll let you be the prize caller. So, can you see the wheel?
Um, I'm looking on. Nope, I cannot see the wheel.
Oh, no worries. I'm going to draw the prize. Everybody.
You draw the prize.
Yes, I will draw the prize, but.
Oh, I see the wheel. There,
Yeah,
go ahead. But you
okay.
draw the prize.
Okay. So this is for the Surf Pro Mug Club. I am behind the
Right.
wheel. That's why nobody can see my face on the stream right now. And what we do is, if you're part of the Mug Club, you've got a nice little coffee mug with a number on the bottom. Your name ends up on this wheel. And if you're watching and I draw the prize, you get a double prize. And the only way for me to know if you're watching is if you leave me a comment. Let me know you're watching. There's no other way for me to see your name. So say hello. Tell Marcia how great she did. Ask any questions that you have. We are going to spin this wheel now. So here we go. Spinning, spinning, spinning. 566. And that is Jody over at Attica Schools.
Oh, yay.
So, congratulations, Jody, and thanks everybody for joining. I don't think Jody's on today, but hi, Hallie, Nate, Danielle, Lisa, Melissa, Diane, Nicole, Lisa, Kathy, Marcia, and Devin. Thanks for joining, and thanks for dropping some knowledge on us, Marcia.
Thank you
This
for
kinda
having
makes
me.
sense.
This was a lot of fun. It's
I
a
want
nice
to
way
do
to
it
start
again.
the week.
Anything you want to leave? Any words of wisdom you want to leave people with?
You know, be kind to your insurance agent. They're just the messenger. They're not making the rates.
Yes, be kind to everyone you meet, I'd say.
Okay. All right. We'll expand to that. Be kind to everyone.
Yes, be kind, take care of each other, and we will see you guys next week.
All right. Take care. Have a great